Welcome to the Week 5 lecture on the Leadership Challenge. We're looking at the practice of enabling others to act. Leaders know they can't do it alone. It takes partners to get extraordinary things done in organizations. So leaders foster collaboration by promoting cooperative goals and building trust. They develop teams with the spirit and cohesion. They promote a sense of collaboration and the feeling of we're all in this together. Leaders understand that mutual respect is what sustains extraordinary efforts. Leaders strengthen others by sharing power and providing choice, making each person feel competent and confident. They nurture self-esteem and sustain human dignity. Great dreams don't become significant realities through the actions of a single leader. Leadership is a team effort. A leader has no choice but to enable others to act, for it is only when people feel trusted, feel a part of something, and feel strong and capable that they can get extraordinary things done. Again, we use Jesus as the example here. He embodies the ultimate example of someone who fostered collaboration and strengthened individuals. A lot of people talk about Jesus as if he were a soloist. They seem to forget that a large part of his ministry was in collaboration with others. Remember what he did with the band of men who followed him? He built a sense of teamwork and loyalty among this disparate group of 12 individuals, and through them turned the world upside down. Jesus has been called the greatest leader of all time because he demonstrated servant leadership and made his disciples into team players. So one of the very first instances of Jesus' leadership was when he called the 12 disciples. And by doing that, he showed us this principle. If what I'm called to do is going to last, the first thing I have to do is start with the people in whom I can duplicate it. Ultimately, his first act of leadership was to call and train the 12 disciples. His last act of leadership was to give the power away before he left. The power remains true even today. Jesus explained that his physical presence on earth was limited, but he explained to the disciples that when he left, God would send his Holy Spirit, who will reside in every believer. That means that this priesthood, every faithful follower of Christ, is empowered to do the work of the Lord on earth. Teamwork and collaboration can only happen when people trust each other. As leaders, we have no trouble trusting ourselves. We have to learn to put the same trust in other people that we put in ourselves and then release them to do the work. We have to trust that the same God who energizes our gifts energizes others. Trust is the foundational element of any good leader, and it has to be earned. You have to lay the foundation of trust before people can individually do their best. Kouzes and Posner tell us that trust is built when we make ourselves vulnerable to the people whose subsequent behavior we cannot control. Trust is not about making yourself vulnerable to safe people. The kind of trust a leader needs to spread throughout the organization is a trust that says, I carry my safety within my heart because I trust in God, and He is the only one who will never let me down. This reminds me of what you've learned in the Erwin text in chapter 11. Erwin stated, how we act depends on what we believe about people and their trustworthiness to do their jobs. Our beliefs about people, about work, and about ourselves determine the kind of leader we become and the depth of commitment of our followers. Trust is at the heart of empowerment and purpose. Remember this, any organization is only as strong as its leadership and the people who follow that lead. So the obvious next question a leader must ask is, how do I strengthen those I lead? And the answer may surprise you. A wise leader strengthens people by giving power away. Leaders place constituents, not themselves, at the center. So leaders use their power in service of others, not in service of themselves. Erwin covered the reasons why we need to be cautious about power. Kouzes and Posner are informing us that we need to give it away. So how do we do this? There are a few aspects of this that were listed in your text. Number one, we put love into action. People thrive when they have meaningful work to do. Don't have people simply lick envelopes if they're capable of more. Don't give them mindless work because you couldn't think of anything else to do. Give them something critical to the advancement of your mission. Number two, develop talent radar. As you give power away, be careful not to overlook people. Everyone has an area of giftedness, everyone. They may not know it, and sometimes the job of a leader is to see it from them before they can see it for themselves. Number three, fan people's gifts into flames. After you've given critical tasks to the right people, your commitment as a leader is to develop their character and their competence. This requires an investment of time and energy on your part. And number 4, making heroes of people. Make heroes of your people when they do things well. Put them up in front of people and tell their stories. And number 5, lead out of a servant's heart. When you lead out of a servant's heart, you tap into the best level of motivation in a person. Serving means that when a person leaves my leadership sphere of influence, he or she will be a better person and leader because of the time spent with me.